Hello, Shoyan here. I'm a carpenter in Japan. Today, I'm going to build a door frame for each room. First, I'll chamfer the lumbers for the frame. I've already planed them with a super surfacer. Since the lumbers have already been planed, I'll chamfer them before they're cut. This way, I can chamfer the entire lumber neatly. It is noticeable when the chamfer angle changes, altering the final shape. So it's better to chamfer when the lumbers are still full lengths. Next, I'm going to build a sliding door frame for the entrance into the living room. The door frame needs only one door jamb. One side is a thick pillar of Japanese cypress, so I only need a door jamb on the other side. I'll put a door jamb straight up there. Then check the floor below and mark the door jamb so that it will be at right angles. Then cut to lengths with a miter saw. These woods are cedar wood. They are 45mm thick and 105mm wide. I use these cedar woods for all the door frames. Throughout the house, the height of the doorways is uniform at 1900mm. These days, doorways are often 2 meters high. But this time, I'm using ready-made lumbers that are 2 meters for a 1.82 meters finish. So the door frame won't be high enough as it will be barely 1900mm. That's why I chose a uniform height of 1900mm. I'm going to process the Japanese cypress pillar on one side of the door frame now. This pillar is thick and it aligns with the wall on the entrance side, so the Kamoi surface will also be aligned with it. Usually, Kamois are installed in the center of the pillar, so I could cut a mortise in the pillar and join the end of the Kamoi as is. But in this case, the entrance side of the pillar is aligned with the wall, so I can't cut a mortise big enough for the end of the Kamoi. So I'll cut a tenon shoulder only on the entrance side, and the back side will be joined by dado. I'll cut a mortise on the door jamb where the Kamoi will join. Nowadays, we call it a door frame when building a house. But about 15 to 20 years ago, we seldom called it a door frame. In the old days, most of the pillars were exposed. So when we made a sliding door, we only installed a Kamoi. We call it installing at uchinorimono in Japanese. When we install the Kamoi, the 3 sides would be finished because it includes the exposed pillars at the sides. In newly built houses, however, there are no exposed pillars. So we need to construct 3 sides with the wooden frame exposed. That is why it is called a door frame. Now, I'm going to install the door frame. I'll install the door jamb first. The width of the sliding door is about 1.82 meters, and it's a single door. So 1/3 of the door jamb will be hidden. I can screw from the front. Next, I'll temporarily install the Kamoi. This Kamoi is installed using the conventional method. I'll measure the right length, then cut it. The process of tracing the shape to measure the Kamoi's length is called hikaru in Japanese. On the pillar side, the half will be joined with dado. So I'll cut the tenon shoulder on the other half. On the side that I installed the door jamb, all 3 shoulders need to be fit well when joining. So the door jamb side will be trickier. as I have cut the tenon shoulder at one end, I'll cut the lengths. I'll cut one side first, then measure the lengths. I could measure the length first, but this way, I can measure the exact lengths needed accurately. I'll gently tap the edge of the wood to compress it on the dado joint part. There is a wood stove next to this entrance, so I need to install the door frame securely to prevent gaps. I'll keep the Kamoi a bit long so it fits tight. I kept it 1.5mm longer than the length needed, so I struggled to install it since it was very tight. Because this was such a tight fit, the cut-ins were damaged. I'll apply water to fix them. I'm going to install the mullion now. I'll make the single sliding door protrude 75mm from the mullion when the door closes. The vertical handle will probably be installed there, so I want to install the mullion in the middle. The protruding 75mm part when the door is closed is called hikinokoshi in Japanese. The doors on the first floor of this house will all be top-hung sliding doors. Usually, the Kamoi will be installed by adding a rising arch a little, but if it's a top-hung sliding door, I won't install it like that. If I did that, it would cause a gap and the sliding door wouldn't fit properly on the other side, so I'll install it as level as possible. I'll first set the tissue rod to hold it from above, then secure it with screws. It's easy to secure the mullion. I'll just secure it firmly with a long screw from the top. The difference between a typical sliding door and a top-hung sliding door is the location of the mullion. If it's a top-hung sliding door, the fittings hang from the middle of the groove. But if it's a typical sliding door, they will fit in the groove at the side. If the owner asks to change a typical sliding door to a top-hung sliding door, or to fix a sliding door, the joiner may cry. Next, I'll install the studs on the top of the Kamoi. The installation is almost done. The sliding door frame and the mullion are finished. Next is the second floor. It's the same sliding single door frames, but the shape is slightly different. When the door is closed, there is a door stop, but there is no door jamb to stop it when opening. This door frame only needs a Kamoi and one door jamb. There are only 2 lumbers needed to build this door frame, which is an advantage. The Kamoi will penetrate the pillar by 13mm, so I will cut the part off. Even if I cut the Kamoi instead of the pillar, I can still install it. But when installing alone like I'm doing, the Kamoi can't be held in position and may fall. Because of this, I cut the part of the door jamb where the Kamoi overlaps, and then I'll install the Kamoi at the top. Now, I'll first cut the door jamb as well. I'll mark the door jamb so that it is perpendicular to the floor, then cut the mortise for the Kamoi. Next, I'll cut the groove on the Kamoi. When cutting the groove on the Kamoi, I'll make sure to stop neatly at the end. I've already measured where to stop. I'll first finish the end neatly. After that, I'll cut the Kamoi to the length of 2 fittings minus 1 mullion from the end of the groove. This wooden frame will protrude quite far into the room. It'll protrude about 9 cm from the pillar. Since one side of the Kamoi won't attach anywhere, I'll cut it diagonally to the appropriate size. Now, I'll assemble the frame. Earlier, I installed the pieces of the frame one at a time, but this time, I'll assemble them first, then carry them. Also, there are only 2 pieces. Their shapes makes them difficult to carry. I cut a 30mm notch into the pillar earlier, so if I carry it there and install it, it will fit securely and not fall out. Now, I'll secure it. As the wooden frame protrudes quite far into the room, the area where I can screw is limited. I can't screw the middle of the door jamb, so I'll secure it with long screws from the pillar. Earlier, I said that the door frame could be built from only 2 pieces, but the mullion on the middle is also needed. There will be a gap in the fittings if there is no mullion. This mullion will be installed at the corner of the pillar, so I'll screw the furring strip lumbers at the right angle to the side of the mullion and secure it to the pillar from there. After installation of the fittings, the mullion will be hidden in the middle. It'll be an unusual door frame with only the right angled wooden frame visible from the wall. Now, I have installed almost all the frames for the windows and sliding doors. Construction of the interior fixtures is about half done. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.